My dear students of Aquaculture and Aquatic Resources Management of the University College of Anuradhapura, in order not to go beyond the scope, I make a few comments on the subject of aquatic plants. The way we understand aquatic plants, in the context of aquarium and greenhouse culture, the term is misleading. There are already many true aquatic plants in lakes and oceans, it's just that we rarely cultivate them. We rather mean plants that grow in habitats that are subject to seasonal large water fluctuations. Extreme nature, like in the Pantanal, northern Sri Lanka, or areas in Africa that dry up completely for months every year. Or not so extreme nature, as in the Philippines, Indonesia, Papua New Guinea and so on, where there are also strong water fluctuations, but which do not lead to complete desiccation in the dry season. Plants from these areas we want to dedicate here, and in particular the Eraceae of the genera Cryptocoryne, Laginandra, Sesmatoglottis, Homolamina, and others from the same habitats. It is undisputed that the botanical explorations and researches, especially in the tropical belt of our Earth, took place in the course of colonization, mainly to find out which plants can be used agriculturally, in order to trade profitably with them, at the expense of the oppressed peoples. A dark chapter. Equally indisputable, however, is that at the same time enthusiastic botanists and plant lovers made a great contribution to botanical research and science, beyond mere utility. Through importation to Europe and culture in botanical gardens since the 19th century, the new plants were also shown to a wide audience. This is how these creatures of the jungle entered our aquariums and greenhouses. Today, fortunately, the once oppressed peoples have a hand on their treasures and are very careful that exploitation does not continue. Sri Lanka is a shining example of this new spirit. Mainly my lecture is about the genus Cryptocoryne, Latin, cryptos hidden / Corinne flask, which is represented by about 60 to 80 species. Most species come from Indonesia and here mainly from Kalimantan, from the Philippines, from India, a few from Thailand and Vietnam, and 3 species from Papua New Guinea. From my own experience I can say that in Kalimantan the great time of discoveries is over, even if from time to time one or the other species is still. Other species is discovered, like C. varicosa, which was newly described in 2022. Basically it must be said that representatives of this genus have only received attention for one reason. Only for one reason, namely that they were suitable for aquariums. Today, however, it is known that at most 24 species are permanently suitable as aquarium plants, such as the beautiful species from Sri Lanka, C. wakari, C. X. willisii, C. undulata and others. At some point, one discovered a flower sticking out of the water in an aquarium, which was strange and exotic to look at. Thus, in addition to aquaristics, a new circle of enthusiasts emerged, those who cultivated these plants emerselli to make them bloom. Groups, societies, associations and, with the computer age, platforms were created that allowed enthusiasts to network internationally. A lively exchange of knowledge and plants began. Unfortunately, the general interest in these plants has dwindled somewhat recently. Oversaturation of affluent societies, earth-shattering crises and stricter export and import conditions may be the reasons. This makes it all the more important to preserve what has been acquired, not to mix things up for personal vanity, and to preserve the species as they are. Many habitats have disappeared and many species exist only in private collections. So we have a great responsibility to preserve these treasures. It is always better not to open the very big story, and so I start with my very personal experiences in the field of cryptocorines, and these experiences began in 1975. At that time I joined the local aquarium club, where the subject of aquatic plants played a role, but not an outstanding one. Aquatic plants were used to beautify the aquariums, and the fish, therefore, were the focus. I don't know what the motivation was, but I was more interested in plants than in ornamental fish. At some point the aquarium club organized a field trip to an aquatic plant nursery. When I entered the greenhouses there, I was greeted by hot, sultry tropical air, and when I spotted and smelled a blue water lily, I was completely enchanted. The great green mother had welcomed me into her womb. A deep feeling, an inspiration, something that can be compared to the deep feeling for romance, her sisters, like poetry and aesthetics, led me deeper and deeper into the Regnus plantarum, and eventually two beautiful plants came into my possession, both from their beautiful island, Cryptocorine wentii and Cryptocorine becketii, which I planted in pots and placed in my new, huge glass showcase. After a few months, I discovered a strange flower on the wentii that smelled a bit unpleasant. I exploded with joy and ran to my mother with the plant. She looked a bit uncomprehending at this little plant and didn't understand the excitement. I made more of an impression on my friends from the aquarium club. I had found my way. My dear students of the University College of Anuradhapura, if you look with your eyes only when you walk through a forest, you will see only green color and blurred outlines. But whoever sees with the heart, looks more closely, is curious and full of longing, the immeasurable treasures of creation are revealed to him. The first look shows us the beginning, the second look already sparks the interest, the third look already conveys the variety, and we realize that we small, insignificant people can never survey the whole. We will never reach the end of the creation, therefore never the complete knowledge, already because creation is a dynamic process which never ends. I said it already at the beginning that my main passion lies with the Eurasian and here in particular with the cryptocurrenian, with which I occupy myself since early youth. In this section I would like to come to the commercial aspect, which should not be underestimated, because first there had to be a commercial use of the plants, which made it interesting to import, grow, and sell them in the first place. It is important to know that of the up to 80 known, very few are really suitable as permanent aquarium plants. These include several species from former Indochina, such as Cryptocoryne crispituliformes balanci, albida, flagitifolia, and others. In addition there are the Philippine species Cryptocoryne usteriana and Apanagitifolia. From Kalimantan we know among others Cryptocoryne cordata-formes, Cryptocoryne nurii, minima and some more. Furthermore we know from Sri Lanka several interesting aquarium species, like Cryptocoryne wentii, becketii, willisii, and a few more. Only through the numerous imports more and more new species were added, accidentally or intentionally, which were not suitable for permanent aquarium culture, but still found enthusiasts who learned to cultivate them and pass them on in groups. Many enthusiasts contacted various botanists, such as Wangso, Boyce, Bogner, and Bastmeyer, who were happy to share their discoveries. This had the advantage that private fanciers had much more time and leisure to devote specifically to the cultivated plants, much more time than was and is possible in the large botanical gardens. As aquarium plants, the cryptocorynes served to beautify the pools and simulate natural habitats, but were still only one family among many. From time to time the long flower tube of a cryptocoryne crispitula protruded above the water surface or a cryptocoryne nurii formed a small stada underwater. That was all. It was noted in wonder. But a few enthusiasts developed an ardent love and curiosity in these plants and they began to build large collections, trying to simulate the natural living conditions in which the species form out their unique flowers. Most species bloom when there is a dry season in their native countries. The water recedes, immersed leaves are formed, and the flowers. Nevertheless, most plants are never completely dry during this time. Rather, they are washed around by the remnants of rivers and streams, which cause them to disappear completely into the water again during the rainy season. At some point, you have most of the species you want and you start looking for new challenges. And what's the closest? The plants that grow in the same habitats as our cryptocorynes, and there are plenty of them. Homolamina, Sysmatoglottis, Apabilis, and many more. They help us who live thousands of miles away from them to understand something of the connections, the great game of evolution. It is a fact that only what is constantly moving is alive. Whether in the kingdom of animals or in the kingdom of plants. That for a confusing abundance of possibilities, which we can never grasp. Nothing that is today will be tomorrow. We humans create systems for ourselves to keep track of things. But each of these systems can only be temporary. We have to understand this to understand creation. It is a frightening fact that the world's hunger, especially the West's, for cheap raw materials is insatiable. For this, governments are bought, intimidated, or eliminated. That is why a large part of the world has mainly a very poor population that struggles every day to feed their families. Forests are being cleared, ancient primary forests where evolution has taken place for more than 100 million years. They are lungs and treasury of the earth. If they disappear, habitats are irretrievably destroyed and hundreds of thousands of species disappear forever. I have such species in my collection that have no habitat left in nature. Cryptocoryne villosa, Noritoid, elliptica, Laginandra cherapuzhica from India, the last representatives of which were sold from the wild to the USA for $400. $400, at an average salary of about $60 of a hard-working man of the third world. And what do many of these people do? They go into the forests and collect large populations of rare species to sell. We should not despise these people. They are acting out of poverty. We should encourage them to collect plants that they can cultivate and propagate in nurseries, which will provide them with a good income in the long run and which will save stocks in the forests. My dear young friends, my dear students of the University College of Anuradhapura, especially in these difficult times of global changes and destruction of both ideal and material values and traditions, reason needs a young enthusiastic generation like you, who feel and look at all things with a new heart and have the courage to believe in the future. You can enter a forest and see with your souls what ordinary people do not understand and create from it an awareness of the value of creation and life. As long as you have courage and believe in life, the beautiful things will not disappear and you can pass them on to the next generations like a baton. For this I wish you the courage, the strength, and the enthusiasm. The enthusiasm that it takes. May we all be happy in peace, in an intact world.